Probably should say during that time, I probably struggled with a lot of addiction. That sort of had a big impact on my relationship with my wife, and financially, relationship-wise, friends-wise, a whole lot of things that sort of influenced.
One bit of advice you wish you'd been given sooner?
Be patient, get into the market as soon as you can.
As you can see, we're not on Zoom. We're not doing this virtually. We're actually in person. So this is a new experience.
This is a moment.
This is a moment, the first in-person experience, and I'm really excited about this guest, actually. You know, we've been through that ideation process. We've got the content board, and the idea came across of let's get someone on who knows social media, who we know intimately, who's got a backstory, and who's done something inside a family as well. Sometimes we don't involve our families in the process of business, but it's all encompassing, whether you do it on your own or you do it with your partner, you know, everyone gets involved. So it was really cool. And we've worked, well, I've known Jonathan for we've probably known him 8 to 10 years now.
Yeah, I met him at the first celebration, which was 6 years ago. Is when I met him. You may have
I met him before.
That.
Yeah, been on a few trips with him. He became a client in our first in AMPT, our outsourcing agency, which was awesome. It was a great learning curve. He actually gave us our first break nearly, you know. Yeah. But yeah, I'm super excited to have him on and share more about how he has built something really meaningful, being a business inside his family unit and kept it all together. And I know he's just got such an incredible journey of where he's come from and what they're doing now, I think is inspiring. So yeah, welcome Jonathan to the pod. Jonathan, excited to have you.
Excited to be here.
It's been a long time coming. We've talked about this podcast for so long, and it was only when the content idea that came up, which was, you know, talking about building meaningful businesses inside family units and social media, you know, the whole idea came across the content table, and I was like, yeah, let's take the podcast on tour and get you in the studio. So it's appreciate you making the time, man.
Appreciate you coming. Appreciate you having me.
So I thought a good way for the audience to get to know you really quickly is just go through some like real quick fire questions. So like straight off the bat, like first thing that comes to mind. So there's 12 questions here, you keen?
Okay, let's do it.
All right, quickly. Cardio or weights?
Weights.
Favorite personal development book?
The first one that comes to mind is The Power of Now.
Yep. Favorite mentor that you've met?
Gary V.
Have you met Gary V?
Yeah.
Really? Favorite mentor that you haven't met?
Probably someone like Elon Musk or Warren Buffett, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quote that you live by daily?
A quote that I live by daily. These are quick fire, aren't they?
6 hours later.
Quote that I live by daily would be just get it done.
Yeah. One word that you use to describe yourself?
Oh, empathetic.
One word that Kat would use to describe you?
Annoying.
If you could have dinner with one historical figure, who would it be and why?
Mandela, for sure, just because of everything he went through and the kind of person he was and how he was after all the shit that he went through.
Totally. What restaurant would you take him to?
Oh, on the Gold Coast?
Anywhere.
Oh, anywhere. Well, I'd probably have to take him to Rickshaw's.
For sure.
Yeah.
There's a story behind that. Okay. Would you rather only be able to do dishes once a week or vacuum once a week?
Fuck, neither.
That's fine.
Probably once a week.
Yeah, you could only do it once a week.
Dishes.
Okay. One bit of advice you wish you'd been given sooner?
Be patient or get into the market as soon as you can.
Housing market?
Any market.
Okay.
Shares, property, anything to build your wealth. The sooner you can get in, the better.
Yeah, totally. If you're walking out on stage, what song is playing in the background?
Well, I have walked out on stage and my choice was Hypnotised by Biggie Smalls.
Yeah. The most dividing question of all, pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
It pains me to say, but yes.
All right, podcast is over. I suppose Alex and I have known you for, I was trying to calculate, it might nearly be 8 years now since.
Yeah, I was going to say close to 10 years.
Yeah, since the health business days. And, you know, something I've always known about you is anytime we get to catch up, it's just such an easy, free-flowing chat, you know, and we share ideas. And, you know, we've been friends, and we've also worked in business as like business partners, and we've had you as a client as well in one of your other businesses, which is cool. But it'd be cool for you to kind of give a bit of a background to your story, because I suppose people probably know you more now from social media and the family and stuff like that, and there's always a story, right? There's always a story to the journey, and people see the before and the after, and they never get the in between. So it'd be interesting to see, hear a bit more about your story, where you came from.
Born in South Africa, came to Australia when I was a baby. Grew up in Brisbane in a house of 4, one younger brother. Went to Catholic schools when I was a kid. Went to an all-boys school as a teenager in high school. I didn't finish school. I dropped out after one term in year 12. I didn't know what I was going to do. My immediate family was breaking down at that time, so I was in and out of homes and doing, what do you call it, just rough rousing, cruising around, sleeping on couches, getting in, sleeping in rooms, and then ended up in a electrical apprenticeship when I was 20 years old. And then after about 2 years of having my electrical license, I started my first business. I was 26 years old. By that time I'd met my wife. We got married. When I met my wife, she had a 2-year-old baby at the time. So that's Latisha. We got married really young. I think Kat was 21, I was 25. We both started the electrical business together, and we ran that for a little while, and I was young and naive and gung-ho and did all the stupid things and spent money in the wrong places and spent money before I had it, and had a few things go wrong, trusted the wrong people, made a few wrong decisions, and that business went belly up pretty much. I'd say what would have been 4 years in, and then just went back onto wages and worked as a sparky construction in Brisbane. So I did that for quite a while, and then ended up leaving and ended up in my father's business. Along that way, I'd had another child, so my first sort of biological child, that was Deja. We had her, how old was I? Would have been like 28 when I had her. 28 years old. And Kat and I were just making ends meet, renting, living sort of week to week. Kat was in the corporate field, and I was a sparky, and probably should say during that time, I probably struggled with a lot of addiction as well during that time. So probably all my life up until my mid-30s, struggled with drugs and alcohol. And so that whole sort of period of time, being married and being a father and being a business owner, doing all that while going through addiction at the same time, but sort of quietly, like not many people would really have met me and said, he's a drug addict, or he struggles with alcohol or whatever. But that sort of had a big impact on my relationship with my wife, and how things sort of panned out financially, relationship-wise, friends-wise, a whole lot of things that sort of influenced, for better or for worse, or usually for worse. Sort of getting to my mid-30s, I'd sort of hit a period where I said, it was sort of like rock bottom for me. I had to make a decision. And
do you remember that moment?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah. So wife and I were going through some pretty hard marital issues. We'd moved to the Gold Coast maybe a year or two before this, and from Brisbane. So we'd sold our first home in Brisbane, moved to the Gold Coast, bought our second home. The marriage was sort of really rocky. We'd fight a lot, and I was making a lot of decisions and doing a lot of things that were very detrimental to the relationship, detrimental to finances, detrimental to a lot of things. While doing that, while being in that addiction, I still think that I was a decent father and a decent husband, but there was that part that was a downfall, and was always like a cycle, like always coming back to a sort of that was sort of limiting any real success in any facet of my life. So as an addict, to get help, you sort of need to realize and get to that point yourself. Many people can sort of put you in a room or give you ultimatums or say this and that, and that stuff was said to me for years. And I went to a psychiatrist one day. I remember talking to him, and he sort of asked me to lay down, what's happening in your life, et cetera, et cetera. So I laid it all out to him, and one of the things he asked me was like, how often do you drink? How much do you drink when you drink? How often do you take drugs or, use drugs, etc.? So I said all those things and he had a look at it. And then the first thing he said to me was, have you ever thought of going to rehab?
Not the question you usually read.
And I was just like, when he said that to me, and that was like a doctor, a professional, someone who does this every day, I'd never thought of myself as an addict to that point. Like,
really?
Never. That wasn't a thing.
So where did you put yourself? How did you classify yourself in that?
Just a recreational user, someone who loves to drink, someone who could drink a lot, someone who could use, and drugs and alcohol to me wasn't a big deal. So my mother is an alcoholic. I've grown up with alcohol in the house was just a normal thing. My auntie was an alcoholic. She died of alcoholism. I never saw myself as that. So what people say when they get in the rooms and when they are going through recovery and things like that is you have this idea of what an addict is and what they look like and what they do, and they don't have a job, they don't pay their bills, they don't have nice clothes. They sort of fit this mold. But when you get in the rooms and you speak to other addicts and alcoholics, you realize that that's not the case, and an addict you probably walked past 50 of them today.
Totally.
You wouldn't know.
And they're just like really high functioning.
High functioning doctors, lawyers, politicians, just normal people that go through life and struggle in silence. And, so when he said that to me, I was just like, that was the first time someone ever said that to me. And I was just like, holy shit, okay. But it was a relief because as soon as he said that, I was like, fuck, maybe I am like, that's the issue. Because at that time I was going to see him for, depression, anxiety, a lot of things that I was going through at the time.
Yeah.
And for me, that's what the problem was. It was like, let's fix that while I continue to use all this stuff. That's just fun for me,
It's just fun.
It's just fun.
And was nothing ever observed at home around it? Cat never.
Yeah, Cat
throw it
probably.
out there,
Cat would have said it that, but when it's coming from your partner and
you
it's
just filter.
You filter it out and you see it as she's just
Nagging.
nagging and being antagonizing or pushing buttons or things like that. So
what would you say to like other people? Because I suppose having vices in life, like you were alluding to before, it kills any level of, like you said, you're a great dad, but to get to any new level, you had to kind of get rid of them, right? Like you got to get rid of those vices. Like, do you see it quite a bit in other people? Have you seen other people kind of struggle with those vices and get rid of it? Or have you kind of always seen people go downhill rather than uphill? Because it's a success story in itself, right?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely probably one of my greatest achievements, I would say, is being sober and clean for as long as I have. So, there's two types of people, right? There's people that can use drugs and alcohol and do it with no issues at all. They can turn it off and on. They can go out on a Friday night, have a few drinks, maybe have a few too many, maybe make a few wrong decisions. Tomorrow it's back to normal, and it doesn't really have a massive detriment on their life. There's many successful people that can drink and have decent time on those things very recreationally. And as an addict, you see that and you think, that it's okay and that's normal. But I've also seen the other side where people are severely limited, and there's people that they say the difference between an addict and a person who's not, we call them normies. So the difference,
Wasn't them.
the difference between those is once an addict starts, they don't know when they're going to stop. They can't say when they're going to stop. Whereas a normie will say, well, I'm going to go out and at 10 o'clock, I'm going to come home no matter how many I've had, or I'm going to spend $50 or I've got $150 to spend. Where an addict will say that, but then it'll get to that point and they'll find some money, they'll find something, they will befriend whoever they need to befriend, or they will manipulate the situation to ensure that it continues on, and then it will go into the morning. And it doesn't matter who it's with or who you end up with, as long as you continue what you want to do. And then that can turn into a bender, can turn into days, weeks. And even though a bender might stop, it's just a periodic pause basically until you can get back to having fun again, basically.
So then obviously there's a huge pivot, right? Like there's the moment where you hit rock bottom And then there's the moment that you decide to take the action to get yourself sober and get yourself clean. And then I suppose after that, you've got a whole bunch of free brain space and energy and that vice is gone. So talk to me about that period, like when alcohol and drugs were now not a thing in your life. What did life look like for the next kind of 4 or 5 years or so?
Yeah, so I think what being an addict really amplifies is that you've got so much potential that's untapped.
Yeah.
Because you've had certain successes in your life while you've been in that addiction. Getting rid of it isn't as easy as just flipping a switch or making a decision. It's obviously going through a process, and sometimes that can take months, years, and obviously it depends on the person and how much work they want to put in. But once that, like you said, once that space gets cleared, it's like you're a whole new person. When you'll hear addicts and alcoholics talk about their birthday, like 1 year, 2 year, 3 years of being sober, because really that's how old you really are, because that's how long you've actually been the real you, like the actual you in that full potential.
Yeah.
Once, that clears the brain space, and it starts a whole new sort of life for yourself. So you clear that. Part of going through that process is actually healing a lot of the torment of why you actually use in the first place and all that sort of stuff, and then being proactive about not notching up any of those things anymore. Yeah. So identifying where they are when they come up, and then dealing with them as soon as they are, so they don't become another thing. So that, and going through that process itself is powerful, and it's very useful in everyday life because it allows you to have a perspective and step back and see things sometimes before they happen or as they're happening, and identify what the issues are and what they're going to be if you don't take action. So that's, that can help you in business, in any other relationships and anything like that. So for me, it just opened up a whole different relationship with Kat. It was like our marriage took a whole different turn. Relationship with my kids was completely different. The way that I felt, my relationship with myself, more importantly, was probably the main thing that changed, was that I stopped giving myself a reason to hate myself or to look at myself and go, "You fucking idiot, why'd you do that?" Because that's the whole cycle of being an addict, right? So you use, you have fun, then you use too much, then you make bad decisions, and you do stupid things. You hide those things, you lie about them, then you get back to your life the next day. But what you've done is still with you. Then you lay in bed at night and you think about all this shit that you've done and how much of a shit person that you are. Yeah. Then you use again to stop thinking about those things again.
Just the vicious cycle.
Yeah, and then now you're intoxicated and drunk or high again, and then you make another bad decision and do another bad thing, and then the whole thing just keeps going over and over again. So once you actually stop that, it stops you waste so much of your brain space and your emotional energy, your intelligence thinking about this stuff that is meaningless because you're just going to do it again anyway. So once you've stopped that, it just clears up space to be more creative, to be more loving, more caring, more empathetic, to think about your life more from a whole perspective, where you can initiate change that's going to be lasting and meaningful, and being an important being an important part of someone else's life. And then from there, you can start building the blocks and doing the things that you need to do to create wealth, to create strong, healthy relationships with your partner and your children and anyone else in your family, friends, etc. Yeah. So yeah.
And so what did you use that energy for? So obviously, from memory, you guys had a cafe. Was that in all that? So you had the cafe, and then obviously now massive in social media land, which I really want to double click on because it's pretty inspiring what you guys have been able to create there. It's mind blowing. But yeah, was it just like a gradual kind of improvement through life?
It just it was just gradually through life, and doors open for you, and you're able to walk through them and identify them, and opportunities arise, and you're able to actually execute things to the fullest. Whereas before, you would execute, make a mistake, do something stupid, put yourself in a bad situation, and then that opportunity would slip by the wayside. Whereas now that's not happening anymore. Opportunities arise where you can actually take them with your full intelligence and your full emotional intelligence and everything that you need to make that opportunity work for you the best way that you can. Yeah. So we had the cafe during that time. We've always been entrepreneurial. That's another thing that I really love about my wife. She's really a go-getter, really had high dreams and high hopes. And even though we came from very, very humble beginnings, we've always had that dream or that ambition or that vision of one day we will be here, or one day, you know, that's where we want to be. And even though there was shit things happening in our life, we always sort of had that as a vision. But now that those things were by the wayside, that were sort of limiting that from my part, we could start focusing and taking the opportunities that came before us.
Yeah. And, you know, clearly the most successful path I would assume you guys have been on is the social media land, you know, the wide world of social media. It still scares me sometimes, and I imagine you as well. That must have been hard to navigate.
To be honest, it's been fun and learn. Like, we've always really tried to take things in our stride and learn as quickly as we can, and then implement what we've learned. So social media for us was not something that we planned to get into, or we sat down one day and go, this is our path, or this is what we want to do. We've always been sort of early adopters in things like, you know, when Facebook came out, we were on it straight away. Always been into social media. When Instagram came around, straight on to Instagram.
Yeah.
Same with TikTok. We were on TikTok before it was TikTok, when it was Musical.ly.
Didn't even know that was a thing.
Nah.
What? I've learned something. Wait, so TikTok wasn't called TikTok?
No.
It's called Musical.ly.
Yeah.
And
It was just an app where people would lip sync stuff, basically, or do dances and things like that, and that's all it was. And
that still carries on now, but now...
Yeah, it still carries on now, but it's obviously much bigger and
Yeah, because I saw
elaborate.
a funny lip sync the other day.
Please, Alex. Please.
Maybe we'll clip that in.
Yeah, let's not do that.
Jonathan himself.
Yeah, so we've always sort of been on that sort of stuff, and then social media as a business, or as something that we've used in our lives to get to where we are, has sort of been, you could sort of say, by accident. Yeah, and like I said, it's like one of those, like I said before, when opportunities come your way, then you're able to take full grasp of them. We saw the opportunity that came towards us, and then as doors opened for us in those areas, we've just taken them with both hands and done what
But I think you can fall into something by accident, but it still takes conscious effort to continue and deal with the adversity. And because, you know, I had my assistant go through just your page and the Kalade page, and like see some of the comments that come up, and it like you can fall into something, but to deal with that kind of crap, you know, you must have to motivate yourself some way, you know.
Oh, for sure. I think the internet is a beast, and it's full of some really nasty and toxic people, if that's what you're talking about, those type of comments. But it's like anything. I think Australia is very known for this, and I think maybe in New Zealand as well, is that people love to see you succeed until you're successful. Yeah. And then once you get successful, there's a lot of people there that want to see that stop, because
start chopping your legs off.
Yeah.
What do they call it? Tall
poppy syndrome.
Yeah.
And I think in China they've got a saying, it's called crab out the bucket. So if you put a whole bunch of crabs in the bucket, then one of them tries to escape, the next crab pulls them back in. So
that's a great analogy.
Yeah, same philosophy, but
and in saying that, there's so many people that aren't like that. There's a heap of people, and I think it's the toxic people and the small amount of people that sort of amplify the actual, what is not really the norm, but obviously because it's the negative, it's what is more amplified, because it's the negative part, negative side. We've got way more people that support us than don't, and we're very grateful for that. But there is a lot of negative and animosity and toxic people out there. I mean, there's whole Reddit pages about our family and whole
Reddit. No way.
Yeah.
Really? And like, what baffles me is that people have the time and energy to do that. Like, that's what buzzes me out. Like, I'm just going to go create a freaking Reddit page.
Yeah,
about
instead
the
of pushing their own needle forward,
let's pull someone else.
Just pull somebody else.
Just makes no sense. So on social media, I personally don't believe you can be successful unless you're authentic, right? Like, you can keep up a facade for so long, and back when we were in the health company, I felt like, for me personally, I was just singing the same tune as everyone else, and it was just like not myself. It wasn't authentically me, and I burnt out massively, and I haven't been back for 6 years, 5 or 6 years. Like I have to force myself to post. So, you know, for you and the family, and it feels like it's just very organic. It's very natural. Has that just been what's it been like to get to that kind of stage?
Yeah, I think why people sort of fell in love with, especially the girls, like I've sort of just come along for the ride, and I've always loved posting.
Come along for the ride with 500,000 followers on TikTok. Yeah, just came along for the ride.
Just a quick Uber.
Yeah.
I'm the baby in the family. I've got hardly any compared to the girls. But I think why they became so popular is because they're so relatable and they just be themselves. As curated as a lot of other... Back when they got really popular, there was a lot of curation, a lot of, doing yourself up, a lot of showing a lot of skin, and a lot of doing all that sort of stuff to get eyes on your page. And Kat's always just been herself. And really, I think, like, sometimes I was like, fuck, do you have to share...
Everything? Like, do you have to share everything?
But that's just the way she is. She doesn't. It's not like she's calculating, going, I want to tell them everything. It's just like she's just open and honest, and that type of person. And it's like take me as you see me, and doesn't feel the need to have to hide anything or things like that. Whereas I've grown up, especially because of my addiction and all things like that. I've always had to hide things or conceal things or try and put a mask on or be a different sort of person. But now that that's all gone, I'm completely, open and honest and do as much as I can to be transparent. But that old way of me being is still lingers, and I'm still like, I like to be a lot more private in certain areas. But at the same time, I'm grateful for our audience, I'm grateful for the people that follow us, and I'm aware that they enjoy knowing things about us, and they feel like they're part of the family. Sometimes they feel like they're involved, and the more open and honest, and the more we can let them in, the more we sort of show that appreciation for them following us and for them being.
And I suppose in the social media land, kind of like a natural progression. I'm a new parent. My boy's 15 months old now, which is crazy and nearly walking. Alex has got a couple of kids, or 3 kids.
Oh, factory.
Yeah, factory. 3 under 3 for how many months? Like 2 months or something. 2 months. Yeah, far out. So, like, the world of parenting and social media it's just never been talked about.
No,
like it's something that no one's ever experienced before. And I know for you got 2 girls. Latisha's 21 now.
Yep.
So, but she was probably younger than 18 when everything kind of started. So how did you navigate that? And I know there's massive stories around Deja and having to pull her out of school and all sorts of stuff. Like, what would your kind of playbook be on managing social media with these influencers? So I feel like it's just getting younger and younger, not just your girls, but like it's crazy to see the people that are making money that were like 15, 16, 17. So yeah, what's your and Kat's philosophy been on that, and how have you kind of navigated that? Because it's challenging.
It is challenging, and it's very controversial. We're the philosophy, like, we grew up with a stick mentality more than a carrot, right? So it was, you can't do this, you can't do that, very strict, and a lot of no's. When I started to become a father, I wanted to sort of flip that on its head and not be, I wanted to say no less and more sort of influence and show my kids on how to behave and what to do and how to act, and sort of be someone that they can come to and confide in, ask advice on, make mistakes completely freely without any fear of repercussion, things like that. So I think being a parent and having kids young on social media, for me, it's more about the parenting away from the social media. Yeah. So it's what values and what morals and what kind of people you bring them up to be away from the screen. And then that sort of carries on with how they behave and how they handle things when they're on the screen, and the comments and everything else, and all the, just to teach them that they are just a piece of skin or a piece of meat to be exploited. They are, instill those real core values on them as a person, to love themselves, to have high self-esteem, to not search for validation, all that sort of thing that you can instill in them and show them how to behave and how to be like that. Then when they're on the screen and they're getting the validation from people, they don't put it in their pocket as something to wear or to hold on to as so valuable. Yeah. To value more, being authentic and being yourself, and not to worry too much about what other people think. And then just being with them along the journey and educating them as things come up. You don't have to lay everything out to them before it happens, and you just have to be there for when things happen and explain them what's going on, or why someone might feel the need to say a certain thing, or teach them a lot about empathy, because a lot of the hate and the vitriol and the toxic stuff that comes along with social media is the same stuff that you're going to get out in the playground or in normal social experiences. It's just amplified more because there's a lot more people in a concentrated space
with keyboard warriors.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So just teaching them about empathy. A lot of that stuff comes from people not feeling good about themselves or not feeling good about their life or what's happening in their life, or being anxious, stressed, depressed. A lot of that, maybe they're not brought up right. Maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe they've lost their home. Maybe their dad died. Maybe you just don't know what people are going through, or what really motivated someone to say something or to feel a certain way. So
it's such an interesting thing you say. Like, it's the parenting away from the screen that actually influences the parenting, like the screen and what kind of goes on there. It's so different, because I feel like a lot of parents are like control, like, lock their phone down and control this, and try and stop them doing things rather than just being a good parent. It's an interesting kind of
because we identified quickly, because we grew up in the age where we had to lie to our parents to get away with a lot of things, because we weren't allowed to do anything.
I never lied to my parents.
Mum,
I never lied to you. Grandma, granddad, never. My grandma's rule was, if you don't want me to know, don't do it.
She was the school counsellor.
She was the school counsellor, and she would always find out as well. So,
oh no!
Yeah.
Really, the actual school counselor.
She was actually the school counselor. Not at the school I was at, luckily, but Taupo was a small place. When I was home, it was like, yo, grandma found out.
So we had the philosophy early, because of that, give them a long leash as long as possible, but not to their detriment, obviously, because for us, I was like, if I'm going to say no phones, no Snapchat, no Instagram, all it's going to do is teach them to do that without telling me, to make decisions, or to get a phone without me knowing, to get an account, to sign up, and have all this stuff happening without me knowing, and without me having the possibility to help them navigate anything that happens while they're on there. Because to me, they're going to do it anyway, because when I was a kid, I did it anyway. My dad told me not to do this. You can't do this. You can't do that. I did it anyway. Right? So
rebel. What a rebel. JC the rebel.
So for me, just having them open, and then just letting them do the stuff, but then just being there to guide them through it instead.
Do you still see them as like your little baby girls, or do you? I guess what I'm trying to get is, with having that exposure, I would assume that like it rocket speeds maturity and growing up and holding yourself differently compared to other people of, say Deja's age, who just don't have that experience, or not.
I think to a degree. To answer your question, I obviously still see them as my little girls, and that's still very deep within them as people. I think a lot of millennials and boomers, Gen Xers, put a lot of emphasis on what the detriment that social media and what they go through is going to impact, and how it's going to mold them as people. But I think what do they call them, Gen Ys or Gen Zs or whatever, they're a lot more, it's like water off a duck's back. A lot of the stuff that we think is affecting them, it's not even something that they've even... it's like we bring things to their attention. Like, I didn't even know that. Like, it wasn't. It's not something that's on their radar.
Interesting.
And I think a lot of the stuff that just runs off their back. It's not. They're very. They're a lot more resilient and a lot more intelligent and a lot more emotionally mature than we give them credit for.
Yeah.
Although there's nothing to say that there's bad things that can happen from overexposure and from being not having the right guidance to manage a lot of those things. That can definitely happen. It's definitely a possibility. But from my experience, they're a lot more resilient than we give them credit for.
Yeah. And the reason I bring it up is because obviously they've, Deja specifically has got exposure to millions of people.
Yeah.
And yet you've still got Jonathan going, like, creeping up on her while she's playing Fortnite and screaming her head off. So there's still like there's still the...
Yeah, she's still
there's
a kid.
still a kid inside of her, despite what you see as like massive influence on social media.
Totally.
It's finding quite interesting.
Totally. I've listened to a podcast by Erwin McManus the other day, and he was saying he coaches a lot of people who they grow really fast in a business or something, and they don't have like the internal structures to manage that success themselves. But on the other side, they also don't have like that internal structure to kind of manage failure, and so they get stuck in this place of like they're really talented at something like social media, but their parents haven't taught them the hard work and that it's not just doesn't show up. You do have to put in the hard work, and I think that's what I see with you and Kat is like you are teaching them those principles. Like you do still have to show up, you still have to do the hard work, you still have to show up when you don't want to make the video, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, because I think it can create a false reality quite quickly, right?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, we identify that pretty quickly. I mean, Deja has brand deals and does things with clients and stuff.
That's insane. Brand deals.
So, yeah, so we had to sort of teach her that and not push her. If she doesn't want to do it, she likes the idea of earning an income, obviously. Who doesn't? But we have to teach her what comes with that. So, like, you don't have to earn this money if you don't want to. You don't have to do what comes along with it. But if you do want that, let me know so that I can guide you and we can show you what it takes to do that.
Yeah.
And then Kat has the brand deals and has a lot of, she's got the podcast. She's always working. I think a lot of people think social media is just, you just wake up, make a video and it works. And a lot of thought and effort goes into what Kat does day to day. And Deja gets to see that. Yeah. And, sometimes Kat could be going through something, but she has an obligation. She might be going through something emotionally or mentally, or it might not be, a good day, but she's got an obligation or an appointment, or she has to get on a call, and she has to switch it on. She has to talk to that person, or
fly to Sydney and do a podcast.
And might not be the best. She might not be in the best mood, but she needs to learn. She can see Kat, controlling that and putting her attention and her effort where it needs to go at the right time. Yeah, and then when she has those obligations have been met, then she can deal with what she needs to deal with. But then at the same time, if it's too much and you don't want to deal with that obligation, then you need to have the freedom to say, look, I'm not going to do this today. I need to look after this. My mental health is a bit more important than whatever this is going on here, whatever this obligation is as well.
Right. So obviously you guys have your personal brands, which are doing incredibly, and now you are kind of moving or have started Kalade. That is really exciting. We were talking to you before it even launched back when you were over in New Zealand, which was cool to hear the backstory and everything that's going on. So talk to us about how that's going, what's going on.
It's going really well. We are, 4 months in?
Only 4 months?
Yeah. We launched at the end of February.
Yeah.
Holy.
That's been going really well. We're really, really grateful for all the support we're getting from everyone around the world, actually, with that brand. So it's been...
I saw so many people being like, when can I get into South Africa? And then you were saying, the rand / AU conversion is just not going to work for you.
Yeah. we ship to South Africa, but the amount of people that can afford to purchase it and then shipping on top of that, it costs a lot for them. So that was a sentimental. We went into the Philippines and South Africa because of our backgrounds.
Yeah, of course.
So those are two countries we made sure that we got our trademarked there and made sure that we could ship to there. Even though we knew that wasn't going to be a big market for us as far as revenue goes. But yeah, it's been great. We've sold out twice. And we've got to a point now where we've been able to manage stock levels and have a decent amount of stock coming in. We've got other products in development that are going to be released in the next few months as well. They're going through testing at the moment. We moved into a warehouse after our first sellout went. So it's been really good. We've had to manage a lot of hate and vitriol and toxicity in the internet about that as well, but at the same time we've had way more support from people around the world and people who want to see us win, which is great.
That's awesome. That's so cool. It's cool to see those people that do want to see you succeed. I think social media does amplify that as well, not just the bad side. What would you say, because obviously you guys had your personal brands to leverage into Kalade, which was, why would you not? Like, of course it's you guys, it'd be dumb not to. What would you kind of say around social media and businesses? Like, is it different? Like, do you guys have a different focus on what you're creating there with your social, like with your posting and your content and all that kind of stuff? Like, how is that different to, and how could like our audience kind of take a lesson from that, I suppose?
So obviously, if you want to be able to leverage your audience, not to say you're going to use them, but they are fans or they are followers of what you do. Make sure that you're authentic to that audience as well as to, if you are going to go into business or leverage your audience, is to stay authentic. So we've always wanted to start business. We've had businesses before social media. So having a business to us was just was a no-brainer. We were going to do it anyway, whether we were social media or not. But we purposefully made sure that we found something that was authentic to us. We love skincare. Yeah. We love always taking care of our skin. The girls love that
because
sort of
stuff. Because you look 20.
Yeah, so just to be authentic in what we chose to start our business in, because we had a few other ideas that we were going to start and they were still going to be authentic, but at the same time you have to choose. You still got to have your business acumen about you when you're doing it, right? So we wanted to choose something that had to be bought over and over again, obviously.
And how was the decision made? Was it like a you and Kat thing? You brought the kids into it? Was it like just open table, full family kind of discussion, and this is a vision that we want to build? Or
Claudia itself is Kat's baby, so that was her primary idea.
I saw Deja say that she was the CEO.
Yeah.
Saw that on social media actually.
And then having it as a family business and involving everyone is obviously something that we've always wanted to do and wanted to work with. If we can work with our family and not have to leave and go somewhere and build something while they're over doing something else, it's just going to create more of a bond in the family unit and have everyone involved. It's a dream, really.
But it also has challenges, I imagine.
Oh, 100%. Definitely.
Like I have worked with family recently, actually, and it's a system, right? You need the system to be able to coexist inside a business and a family. So, like, what have you guys put in place to make that happen and work?
Yeah, sure.
Other than putting Deja as the CEO.
Deja's the CEO.
Yeah.
Jonathan does all the cleaning.
Yeah. And the packing. Yeah. And Deja just makes videos behind.
Yeah.
I think it's like any other business. You got to identify where your strengths are and then stay in that lane, right? You can canvas ideas and stuff that outside of your wheelhouse, I think you'd call it. But just know that that's not your thing, right? So for me, creating content, knowing what type of content to make, all that sort of stuff for the brand, that's in Kat's wheelhouse.
Yeah.
What the products need to look and feel like, that's definitely in the girls' wheelhouse. So, I know what I like, but for me, I'm just a guy, right? So
just a guy. There's going to be a men's range though, at some stage.
At some stage, if the numbers and everything
makes sense.
Yeah. But for me, I've built businesses, I've done back end stuff. Yeah. I know what needs to be done with regards to operations. So my role is operations and making sure the bills are paid, making sure we're implementing the right systems and tools and doing all the things that need to be done, ticking all the right boxes, compliance and all that sort of stuff. So that's my wheelhouse and that's where I stay. And Kat knows she doesn't even want to touch any of that stuff. Yeah. And just knowing and trusting that the other person has got that sorted. That's how I think that's been a great part of our success, is just staying in your lane and recognizing where your strengths are and not try and be everything and everywhere. And have you found like family life and business life merge, or have you tried to keep it quite separate? Because I still see you guys on trips and stuff like that, but are you talking about Kalade on the trip, or like have you got that balance? Is there that balance? Or because I feel like work-life balance is a myth. Yeah, I feel like work-life balance is a myth. I think it's a myth, an absolute myth. I think when you enjoy what you're doing, and I don't think that there needs to be a balance, because work is life and life is work, really, isn't it? So I think work-life balance works when you work for someone or you work in a job or that you don't really like. Then you clock off at 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock and you leave it at the office. You come home and don't bring it to the office. But for us, it's something that we really love, really passionate about, really enjoy, really want to see succeed, really want other people to enjoy, have great experiences. So if something comes up at the dinner table, or if it's a quick text message or a phone call or
intervention, full intervention at the dinner table. Hey, dinner's ready. All right, let's go.
Got them together.
Yeah. All right. So I know you said your wheelhouse isn't content; it's the girls, and it would be awesome to have had Kat here, but unfortunately she couldn't make it. Hopefully another time. Like, what are you seeing in content that is working at more a macro level? Like, obviously, skincare, you know, you've got very specific content for skincare, but how would you kind of wrap that around business? Is it kind of showing the product? Is it not showing the product? Is it like the community? Like how what's working, I suppose, because it's such a big thing to navigate, and I suck at content. Like we were coming through, backstory, we were coming through, well, Andrea's been saying you guys should make a video on the trip. So I was like, yeah, sweet. So I got a gimbal and I got the phone and I got the... It's just the worst job ever. It's so hard. I'm coming through security and the guy's like, you can't film in here.
Starts filming. For one place you can't film. He's like, right, Alex, and he's like, right, turn that camera off. Delete that footage right now.
Anyway, that's another story altogether. But what are you seeing work in the world of content?
Yeah, sure. So it's a big deal. Like a lot of people think that you have to showcase your product all the time and fill your Instagram and your TikTok with your product. And I think that's the complete opposite. Like if you look at, you know, the most successful businesses and how they run, that's a lot of what we do is we look at what works for other people and what other brands are doing and what other content creators are doing and what videos are working. And we learn from that in our personal brand and our business as well. So if you look at, for example, Red Bull, right? If you go to their TikTok and their Instagram, you won't find one thing about the product.
Yeah,
not one thing. What they're selling is a community and what their product makes you feel and how you know it's a lot of people jumping out of planes and doing snowboarding stuff and like it's just nothing to do with the drink and how it tastes and how refreshing it is and how it makes you feel.
What they stand for.
Yeah, it's
and how it's going to kill you eventually and.
So we take on that philosophy too. Plus, we also recognize that a lot of the people that have come on board with Kalade as the brand follow us as content creators as well and as a family. So we give people what we think they would like in that regard as well. So it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of just showing our characters, our authenticity, the type of people that we are, the type of business fun, and then fostering that community and just giving people, because people come to TikTok and Instagram, it's to get entertained really, right? It's not to, a lot of the time you obviously can have those niches and those people that are informing on, you know, the news, politics, or what legal case is going on, or, you know, how to make whatever, bread or whatever. There's those people that do that. But you will find if you go to any brand page, anything that's showcasing a product or what it is, the look and feel and how it does, you know, and the ingredients and this, that, those posts never do well.
Yeah.
So
when you say do well though, because I feel like in social media there's doing well from a views and exposure point of view, but there's also doing well on the side of sales as well, and sometimes they don't correlate.
That's true. And it's hard to know exactly how a post converts to sales unless you put a post and then you start seeing your Shopify ding up straight away.
Yeah, gotcha. You can't do any attribution to a post, or
you can't unless someone purchases from Instagram or from TikTok.
Gotcha.
You've got your shop, so your Shopify links to your Instagram, so people can click on a product and then purchase it straight from there. You can get those analytics.
Yeah.
But it's not always accurate because that person could go straight from that post to the website and then purchase from the website. You don't know if they've done that or not.
Yeah. And what would you say to like business owners or, you know, people starting brands who are like flatlining and you know, follower growth or just not getting the engagement that they need? Like, have you guys been through that?
Algorithm changes are a big thing. So what worked last month doesn't work this month anymore.
Is it monthly?
Sometimes it's, you don't know, what worked yesterday isn't.
Do you get a heads up on that?
No, you don't. So there are people that think they know what's going on, and then people that will make posts and YouTube videos about algorithms changed, or sometimes if it's a big change, Instagram and TikTok will notify people that something's coming, but they don't know. You never know what it is exactly. It could be something particular to you, particular to your area, particular to your audience, could be something. So you just have no idea. So always being on the pulse and seeing what's working for other people, seeing what's working for you, testing things, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's hard to know exactly what's going to work and how that's going to convert into sales. But I think for us, what is a successful post is obviously one that gets a lot of views, one that gets a lot of shares, one that gets a lot of saves and a lot of comments. So those are the four big metrics.
Yeah, right.
If you get a lot of interaction on the posts, and especially posts where you get like comments that go into a comment where people are commenting with amongst themselves within a post.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that do real well. The algorithm definitely rewards things like that because it's creating eyes on that screen and a lot, and it says the algorithm obviously goes, well, that's something that people are interested in. People are spending time within that post, in that comment, and feel that there's a value in doing that. So those are big ones for us. So if there's lots of comments and lots of interaction with amongst the audience within there.
Interesting. And has creating content ever got in the way of family life, or do you feel like it does sometimes? Or do you have like put your phone in the bucket kind of thing and come sit down and have dinner, and then, or is it just part of life now?
No, I think for us it's sort of part of life, and I think for us it is probably enhanced family life more than anything. A lot of the times it makes us spend time with each other rather than spend time away from each other. You want to create content together. Kat and Deja want to do a dance together.
Yeah.
Deja wants to show you something, or Latisha wants to ask me. She needs to make a post about this, but it's not something that she's really familiar with, and has a chat to you about it, and blah blah. So a lot of that. What's trending at the moment, Deja? Let's you should do this, Dad. Have a look at that sort of stuff. So a lot of that wouldn't happen. It would be she's off with her friends, or she's doing something in her room, and so I think for us it's sort of it helps. It's enhanced our family life a lot.
Clearly, through the journey of gaining followers and becoming awesome on social media, there's been a financial reward, and I know you guys have probably set yourselves up. Latisha, I know, has set herself up quite well with some of the brand deals. Deja's, probably on the road to that. But also, young people are coming into money earlier and earlier. That's awesome. I think that's liberating, and I find that awesome. But how have you kind of advised the girls, and what would you say to either parents or younger people listening who do kind of come into that awesome wealth early on? Like, how did you advise them? Because I know Latisha's got a house and the Tesla and all that kind of stuff. But
so obviously kids are different in many aspects, and Latisha's always been really good with money. Even before all this, when she started working, she's always been really good with money. So she's been someone I really haven't needed to worry too much about. Deja, on the other hand, is a spender and loves spending.
Yeah.
White fox.
Anything. Shoes,
really?
Amazon. Yeah.
Loves it.
We'll get another package. It's like, what's this? Oh, I bought this. I'm like, okay. But just teaching them firstly about tax. Tax is a big one that will hit people in the face. So just teaching them that in Australia it's the ATO. I don't know who it is in New Zealand.
The IRD.
Yeah. They don't play around. They get their money and they'll get it one way or the other. And you don't want to have that issue with them. Teaching them that all that money, this invoice that you're getting paid isn't all your money. Percentage of this has to go to the government. Percentage of this should be saving away. Work out how much money you want to have every week or every month to spend. Work out whether that is a figure that's achievable, whether it's smart. Just having an open discussion with them about what their goals are, where they see themselves in. And it's hard because sometimes a 12 or a 13-year-old has no sort of fathom or thinking about, where they're going to be in 10 years or where they want to be, and sometimes it's something that they shouldn't need to worry about. And then you need, as a parent, just need to identify where they are intellectually, if that's something that they can grasp.
Yeah.
So for me, Deja's been pretty good with that. Ask them what sort of life they want to have when they're in their mid-20s, mid-30s, mid-40s, and then sort of laying out what sort of needs to be done right now to get to that point, and what sort of habits and actions need to be in place so that when they start getting money, it's not a big deal. When they get $1,000 invoice, they know that $300 of that is got to go to the government minimum, that I should be probably saving about $500 or $600 of that, and about $100 of that max is sort of something that I could play with, and maybe go buy a pair of shoes or put away, or buy a bloody Roblox money or whatever.
Fortnite
pass or whatever it is.
But so you're saying it's setting up those internal kind of success mindsets inside of them so that they can manage their money on their own later on.
Yeah, because we've got a lot of stories of people, content creators that start earning a lot of money, don't put any away for tax. Start buying Cartier bracelets and
that's a smart thing to do.
Start just buying stuff and going on trips, and then end of financial year comes around and the tax man wants his 60K, 80K, 100K, and you're just like, I don't have 100K.
Just go to Bali and buy your Cartier bracelet.
It's quite funny because obviously Aussie, it's tax season coming up now in the 30 June.
Yeah.
And I'm in a few of like the dads, Aussie men's Facebook groups, and you get the, what can I buy to write off some more of this and that, the other. But there was one comment I saw yesterday, and it was like, you would rather be chased by the police than the ATO, because the ATO don't need a warrant.
True. Yeah. So it's
coming straight in,
and they would just take your money. They'll just go into your bank account.
Yeah. The onus of innocence is on you in the ATO world, where in criminal land, it's the onus is on the police. So so true. So true.
Yeah. So just teaching them good money habits. I think that's the main thing, and how to manage their money. Because I wish someone did that for me when I was a kid. Like if I knew how to manage money, because it's a big shock. When I first told Deja, she had a certain amount in her bank account, and we're starting to do tax, and I worked it out. I said, well, this amount of money has got to go to the... She's like, what? Why? What for?
Because you live in Australia. It's like the subscription you pay to live here. It's an expensive subscription, but
now she's come to terms with it, and she's all right. So now she knows every time that something comes in, it's like in the back of her mind, all right, that's not all my money.
Yeah. I wish I was taught that.
There's a lot of things that you learn later in life that you wish.
Very true. Very true. Honestly, this has been such like a masterclass in social media, because for me, it's been such a block. And my current mentor, his name's Dan Martell, he says the world will show you where you go through situations and people where you're not free. And social media is definitely one of those things. But then I see you and someone who's probably kind of been in that same journey, or had to hide away things from your life, and then showing your life to the world is such a big journey. So I really appreciate you coming on and sharing not only your story but the family story, because I know some of that stuff isn't widely out there and widely available. So it's awesome. We're actually starting a bit of a tradition, call us Diary of the CEO tradition, but it's not going to be that. I feel like everyone, it actually started because of the dinner we had last time we were here, and you gave me a whole bunch of podcasts to listen to. And it's so interesting talking to other people who consume content in the same way that we do. We listen to a lot of podcasts, but I feel like everyone's got that one piece of content, whether that be an audio book, a podcast, a TED talk, a YouTube video, something that has had a profound impact on them. So
sure,
off the top of your head, or off camera later, it'd be cool to get that piece from you, and we're going to start a feed of everyone who we interview.
Sure.
Starts a feed of all the pieces of content and it would just be like a really highly curated feed of awesome content there.
Yeah, cool.
So if you've got something off the top of your head, or something that you think people should listen to, it doesn't have to be the final one, but it'd be cool to know.
I think off the top of my head right now, I watch so much stuff. Like I probably consume too much content that I need to when I find something good, I'll share it with someone straight away, because if I don't, it's gone. Then you see the next cool thing, and then
it's gone. It's a rabbit hole.
It is. Yeah. Well, if you can send it to us, if you think of something, it'd be awesome to have something that kind of puts you in the feed, and other people, I'm sure, will be really interested to know what that is.
Yeah, cool.
Well, Jonathan, it's been a pleasure. Honestly, appreciate you making the time to do this. It's always so cool hanging out, and we get to go to dinner. Is it tonight? Tomorrow night.
Coast. Is it Coast? Cost.
Yeah. Every time JC takes us out, it's always something
saving
really
calories
good.
all day.
Saving calories all day for it, but it's always good. The last one, was it North Star?
North Room.
Oh, that place was off the charts.
North Room is good.
Off the charts, but appreciate it, JC.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. That's wrap. Done. If this is your first episode of the Playbook, welcome. If you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, comment on whatever podcast channel you listen to this through. There's some killer podcasts beforehand. We're only getting better. Again, a big shout out to producer Andrea, who you guys can't see, but she's over there, who has been helping us get through this. But our goal with this podcast has always been, let's bring expertise and knowledge to an audience, to our business audience, to extract that value so that you can take away these playbooks, these exact principles, these ways of doing things to accelerate your own business. So excited to have you here, excited to have you part of the community, and we will see you next episode.
Peace.
Peace.